If you're trying to set up Xero for a furnished holiday lettings business, this is the video for you. Got a full demonstration about how you can set up Xero by importing a customized chart of accounts, which is bespoke for a furnished holiday lets business. Show you how to import the chart of accounts, how to import your first bank statement, and how to set up tracking categories so you can monitor the performance of your different properties in your portfolio. Watch now for a demonstration. It's fairly similar to setting up for an investment property company. The only difference really is some of the chart of accounts, some of the accounting codes that an FHL company is slightly different. So rather than talking about rents receivable, we're talking about sales. You can have different lines, such as cleaning is normally a big part of furnished holiday lets, and a few other different examples, but essentially the same as some of the other videos I've done in terms of setup. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do then is I've got a kind of standardized chart of accounts I use for furnished holiday let companies. So yeah, you can sign up to my Xero course and download your own copy to save you a bit of time. So what we're going to do now is going to import that. So if you can download mine, you'll be able to follow these steps exactly. So we're going to go on under accounting, chart of accounts. Then we're going to click import, then import the file. Okay, so it's pretty much good to go. There's just a bit of editing needed. So some of the kind of statement loud accounting codes are customizable. So for example, director's loan, you need to put details of the director in there. And also the same for some of the properties as well. So you could put the first line of your address for each of your furnished holiday lets. Basically, that means that when you have, like on the balance sheet, I'll show you later, you're going to be able to basically separate the different properties, which is really useful. Same for mortgages as well. So we have a separate accounting code for each of your furnished holiday lets and for each of your mortgages, and also things like for each of your directors. So I'm just going to edit them now. So let's find the director's loan. Yeah, so here it says director's loan, insert name. So I'm just going to edit that now. Then save. Then what we'll do is do the same for the furnished holiday let. So I'm just going to edit the first line of the address. I just normally use a abbreviated version of the address to keep it nice and simple so you can recognize the difference between the two. Call it investment property. You could call it furnished holiday let as well, but essentially it is an investment property still. The first abbreviated address there so I can tell it. And I'm going to do the same for the mortgage, although this particular property was purchased with cash, but yeah, in the future it may be remortgaged, so we'll set up a mortgage finance one for it too. Then click save. We're going to set up something called tracking categories. So each for our properties, we want to have a tracking category that enables us to link income and expenses to that particular property. It's a really useful way of basically comparing the different performance of across our portfolio. In this case, it's a new company. There's realistically only one property, but in the future, you kind of build it as you're going to grow. So we'll set up tracking categories to then get the client used to using tracking categories. Basically means it'll be easy then when they do just to have multiple properties to do it. To set up tracking categories, you're going to click on accounting settings, tracking categories. We're then going to click add tracking category. We're going to do it by property. You could also, if you're a really big company portfolio, you could have it like by region as well. You can set up all kinds of different tracking categories, and you could have multiple tracking categories as well. But for the purpose of what we're doing, the easiest way is to do it by properties. That's the key thing. We want to kind of be able to differentiate between the different properties. And then I've put the abbreviated version of the address of the first property in there. Click save. Now I'll show you later when I come to then start importing transactions. It's basically going to mean we can select that property to link income and expenses to, which can be really useful. From the home page, then we're going to set up a bank account. So to do that, I'm going to click on, sometimes there's an option on the home page to do it. In the new kind of look Xero home page, it didn't seem to give us an option to do it. So what we'll do is click accounting, bank account. Cool, this gives an option to set up a bank account. Yours will look slightly different because I'm using basically an advisor only subscription for this, which basically means I can't do bank feeds. Bank feeds enable you to basically link your bank account directly to Xero, and it basically imports all the transactions from your bank account automatically. Really useful feature. When I transfer this subscription to the client, they'll be able to use this feature, but for the time being, I'm just using an advisor only version, which doesn't enable you to do that. But I'm going to use a workaround, and actually I'll show that if you set up Xero maybe like a year into having your company, then actually you may need to import a bank transaction. And I'll show you how to do that, because when you do set up bank fees, it won't necessarily pull all of the legacy transactions through. So actually importing a manual statement is actually the best way forward when you set up a new account. So I'm going to click add account with bank feed. Yours will just say add bank account, and you'll have the option to do bank feeds automatically. So let's do that now. You'll then add the account details, and again, yours might look slightly different to this. So we're going to click Add Account Details, put in the bank. This is a tied bank account, call it whatever it's called. This is, then we put in the account details. So I'm just going to make these ones up. Obviously, you put the correct ones in when you do. Then click Add, then click Finish Adding Accounts. I'm going to now import a statement. To do this, you need a comma-separated value bank statement. All business accounts enable you to do this. You'll need it depends when you set up your Xero account, but ideally import all of the bank transactions that you can. Slight difference will be if you've got a Xero account and you're setting it up for a company that's been around for a long time, it's got multiple years of reporting. You don't want to import all of your bank transactions. What you want to do is something called opening balances, where basically you'll take a set of your last accounts and you'll basically input that data under accounting opening balances or conversion balances in Xero. I've got a separate video which I'll put in the description which shows you how to do this, but in terms of this particular company, there's no requirement to do that because it's a new company, so there isn't legacy transactions from a long time ago. What we're going to do now is drag and drop in then click Next. What we have to do now is just referring back to our CSV statement, comma separated value statement. This is just basically mapping across all the different columns. So yeah, just making sure the correct one's linked to the right one. So that's date, transaction day, we don't need. Description, that looks like payee. What amount is transaction amount? Where's transaction amount? There, and that's description. Just add as much detail as you can. Some of them won't be relevant. You see with this one, it's got an amount column, which is really useful, but some bank transactions, some banks don't provide this. They basically give you a paid in and paid out under. There is a workaround. You basically have to go through and manipulate the statement, which isn't ideal. You have to basically turn any paid, basically put them into the same column and basically make any paid out a minus and paid in a plus. It's a bit fiddly to do, but it's straightforward enough. Right, click Next now. There's an error here which we need to rectify with the transaction date. Sometimes it's in the wrong format. You can see here it's got time on, which is too much information. So what we'll do is we'll just edit that now before we try again. So complete import. What you'll see now is we've got a load of transactions which we can start to process. So I'll just show you how to do this. It's basically a few different. We need to separate between one-off transactions and recurring transactions. So got here some income. Let's deal with that first. Let's create a bank rule for that because we're going to get multiple income items. You can basically set up a rule. So what we need to do is basically whenever a certain transaction comes through, which will have a description, Xero will process it accordingly and align it to a rule. So in this one, we know that the description is going to say income. Ideally, it would give a name of the person who's paid it as well, which we can link to that contact. So we're going to have description. We're just going to add that to contains because sometimes we might change the wording slightly. Cool. So I'm just using income, but realistically there'd be somebody's name here, the person who's paid it, or it might be the booking agent that you use. What we're going to do is going to allocate line items. And you can basically set it by a fixed amount to a line, or we just want everything to go to a particular line. So what we're going to do here is add as much description as we can. So we might say income, booking.com, for example. Account will be sales. And then we can link the property there. In this case, it's LD. So what we do now, and then give the name, the rule a name. So we'll call it income. This would probably be somebody's name in your case, or like I say, the booking agent. And what we do now is see now that there's a series now of transactions where it's basically looking to align it to that rule, which is going to save us a lot of time. And once we set up a load of these rules, it's going to make it really easy for us. If you found this video useful, if so, please remember to sign up in the description to a 7-day email course, which is going to enable you to get set up as a furnished holiday let business on Xero in 7 days. And it includes a chart of accounts, which is bespoke for a furnished holiday let business. Sign up below.